Marcus Chen stood at the entrance of the Galactic Defense Academy's training facility, his heart racing with anticipation rather than nervousness. The massive dome-like structure loomed before him, its crystalline walls refracting the light of 3 distant suns. As one of the first humans accepted into the prestigious academy, he knew all eyes would be on him today. Instructor Crixel, a tall, willowy being with iridescent scales and 4 arms, approached Marcus with what appeared to be concern in their multifaceted eyes. "Recruit Chen, I must verify, you received the safety briefing about today's assessment?" Marcus nodded, suppressing a smile. He'd read the warnings about extreme physical conditions and potentially devastating gravitational forces. Coming from Earth, what these aliens considered dangerous barely qualified as a moderate workout. The training chamber filled with various species from across the galaxy. Crystalline beings from the low-gravity worlds of the Centauri system floated gracefully. Methane-breathing Juraxians moved like living mercury. Among them all, Marcus stood out, solid, sturdy, and according to most of their medical scanners, impossibly dense with muscle mass. "Today's trials will test the very limits of physical capability," Crixel announced, their voice resonating through the chamber. "We begin with the gravity wells." The first challenge involved traversing a series of platforms while gravity shifted unpredictably. Marcus watched as his alien classmates struggled, their bodies straining against forces that ranged from 0 g to 3 times their homeworld's gravity. When his turn came, he walked across casually, his Earth-born physiology barely registering the changes. "Impossible," whispered a silicon-based being named Rwx. "The Deathworlder moves as if in a dream." The next trial involved lifting molecular compressed weights in varying atmospheric pressures. While others required mechanical assistance, Marcus hefted the loads with ease, his muscles adapting to each new challenge. He couldn't help but notice Crixel frantically calibrating their monitoring devices, convinced they must be malfunctioning. During the endurance run through simulated extreme environments, Marcus actually began to enjoy himself. He jogged through acid rain that would dissolve most species, barely noticed the temperature shifts from near absolute zero to plasma hot, and maintained steady breathing even as the air pressure fluctuated wildly. "Recruit Chen," Crixel called out, their scales shifting to a worried violet hue. "Perhaps we should end your trial early. These conditions are quite refreshing, actually," Marcus replied, completing another lap. "Reminds me of spring weather back in Seattle." The other recruits gathered at a safe distance, their various sensory organs fixed on the human with a mixture of fear and fascination. A telepathic wave of shocked whispers rippled through the chamber. What kind of planet produces such beings? As Marcus completed the final trial, a combat simulation against holographic opponents in crushing gravity, Crixel's color had shifted to a deep blue of astonishment. The instructor's 4 hands trembled slightly as they made notes on their quantum tablet. "Recruit Chen," Crixel said finally, their voice carrying a new note of respect. "Your performance today has revised our understanding of species capabilities. We may need to design new parameters for human assessment." Marcus wiped a light sheen of sweat from his brow, feeling pleasantly warmed up. "Happy to help, instructor. Though if you want a real challenge, you should see what humans can do in actual difficult conditions." The day's trials concluded with Marcus's classmates giving him a wide berth in the recovery chamber. Only Rwx dared approach, their crystalline form shimmering with curiosity. "Your species," Rwx began hesitantly, "you evolved on a world that would crush most of us instantly?" Marcus nodded, taking a sip from his water bottle, another action that made several nearby aliens flinch, still amazed that humans casually consumed dihydrogen monoxide. "Earth's pretty nice once you get used to it. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, powerful atmospheric pressures, volatile weather patterns, makes you adaptable." Crixel, who had been reviewing the day's data, suddenly approached with an urgent air. "Recruit Chen, would you be willing to assist in redesigning our training protocols? It seems we've been operating under some limited assumptions about physical possibilities. Marcus smiled, seeing the opportunity not just for himself but for future human recruits. I'd be honored, instructor. Though you might want to reinforce the equipment first. We haven't even started on what humans can really do when we push ourselves. As he left the training facility that day, Marcus couldn't help but feel optimistic about humanity's place in the galactic community. They might have come from what others called a death world, but that just meant they were prepared for anything the universe might throw at them. The real challenge would be helping their alien allies understand that what they saw as limitations were simply opportunities waiting to be overcome. Word of Marcus's performance spread through the Galactic Defense Academy like a quantum ripple. By the next training cycle, the observation galleries were packed with curious faculty and senior cadets, all eager to witness the capabilities of their human recruit firsthand. Instructor Crixel had spent the interval redesigning the training protocols with Marcus's input. The new regime would push even human limits, incorporating challenges that made the previous trials look like elementary exercises. Today's session focuses on rapid adaptation, Crixel announced to the assembled recruits. Their scales shimmered with anticipation. We've incorporated environmental variables previously considered too extreme for testing. Marcus noticed new faces among his classmates. A plasma-based entity called Nexus, who moved like living fire, and Draxel, a being composed of living crystal who supposedly came from a gas giant's core. The Academy was clearly bringing in their most resilient species to compare. The first challenge began without warning. The chamber's environment shifted instantly to replicate the crushing depths of a super-Earth ocean. While other recruits activated their protective fields, Marcus simply adjusted his breathing, his dense bone structure and powerful muscles easily handling the pressure. Fascinating, Draxel commented, their crystalline form refracting light as they observed Marcus. Your species evolved to withstand such forces naturally? Earth's oceans go pretty deep, Marcus replied, voice cleared despite the intense pressure. This feels like a moderate dive. The trials escalated. They faced magnetic storms that would scramble most nervous systems, radiation levels that should have caused instant cellular breakdown, and atmospheric compositions that ranged from superdense noble gases to near vacuum. Through each challenge, Marcus's body adapted, his human physiology demonstrating its remarkable resilience. Nexus, whose plasma form could withstand extreme conditions that would vaporize most species, moved closer to Marcus during a brief respite. Your internal temperature barely fluctuates, they observed, their voice crackling like controlled lightning. Even in conditions that approach stellar surfaces. Homeostasis, Marcus explained, wiping sweat from his brow. Humans are really good at maintaining our core temperature. We can handle everything from Arctic conditions to desert heat. The final trial of the day introduced something new. A combat scenario against automated training units in rapidly changing environments. As Marcus engaged the units, smoothly transitioning between different combat styles as conditions shifted, Crixel's scales turned a deep purple of revelation. Now I understand, the instructor murmured, making rapid notes. It's not just physical adaptation, it's tactical evolution in real time. Marcus moved through the challenge with fluid grace, his movements economical yet powerful. When gravity increased, he used it to add force to his strikes. In low gravity, he employed momentum and leverage. Each environmental shift became an advantage rather than an obstacle. Watch closely, Crixel instructed the other recruits. Notice how the human uses environmental conditions to enhance performance rather than simply surviving them. After the session, Crixel called Marcus aside. The instructor's usual composed demeanor showed signs of excitement. Recruit Chen, your performance has implications beyond physical training. The Galactic Defense Council will want to review these findings. Is that unusual? Marcus asked, though he already suspected the answer. Unprecedented, Crixel confirmed. Your species' adaptability, it suggests possibilities we hadn't considered. The ability to not just survive but thrive in conditions we thought impossible, it changes everything. As they spoke, Marcus noticed Nexus and Draxel engaged in intense discussion with other recruits. The initial fear and disbelief he'd sensed from his classmates was evolving into something else: curiosity, respect, and perhaps a hint of competitive spirit. Tomorrow's session will incorporate cognitive challenges alongside physical trials, Crixel announced. We want to test the full range of human adaptation capabilities. Marcus nodded, already looking forward to it. You know, on Earth, we have a saying, pressure makes diamonds. Maybe that's what your Death World classification really means, not that our world is trying to kill us, but that it's constantly pushing us to evolve. Crixel's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue. Perhaps we need to reconsider many of our assumptions about species development. If humans could evolve such capabilities on what we considered a hostile world, there might be other surprises out there, Marcus finished the thought. Other species and worlds we've overlooked because we thought the conditions were too extreme. As he left the training chamber that day, Marcus felt a growing sense of purpose. Humanity's entry into the galactic community wasn't just about proving their own capabilities, it was about helping the galaxy expand its understanding of what was possible. Each challenge they overcame opened new doors of possibility for all species. The next day's trials would bring new challenges, but Marcus knew that was exactly what humans did best: face the impossible and find a way to make it possible. After all, they'd had plenty of practice on their beautiful, demanding, death world of a home. The Academy's warning sirens pierced the artificial dawn, their haunting tone echoing through crystalline corridors. Marcus jolted awake in his reinforced quarters, instantly alert. The environmental readings on his room's display were fluctuating wildly. Something was very wrong. Emergency protocols initiated, the Academy's AI announced. Quantum storm approaching. All non-crisis certified personnel evacuate immediately. Marcus rushed to the training chamber, finding Instructor Crixel coordinating with senior staff. Their scales had taken on an ashen gray, a color he'd never seen before. The containment fields are failing, Crixel explained as Marcus approached. The storm's quantum fluctuations are unlike anything in our records. Even our most resilient species can't safely maintain structural integrity in these conditions. What about the critical systems? Marcus asked, noticing how the very air seemed to shimmer with potential energy. The reactor core needs manual stabilization, Nexus interjected, their plasma form flickering anxiously. But the quantum distortions are too severe for any of us to reach it. Marcus studied the environmental readings. The quantum storm was creating pockets of reality where physical laws themselves became unpredictable. For most species, entering such conditions meant risking molecular dissociation. But humans had evolved on a planet that constantly challenged their existence. I'll go, Marcus volunteered. Human cellular structure is remarkably stable. We evolved dealing with all sorts of radiation and environmental stresses. Crixel's scales shifted to a worried purple. The risk is unacceptable. These conditions are beyond even your demonstrated capabilities. With respect, Instructor, you're still thinking in terms of normal physical limitations. Marcus began calibrating his environmental suit. Humans don't just survive extreme conditions, we adapt to them. It's kind of our thing. Before anyone could object further, Marcus entered the affected zone. The world around him began to twist in impossible ways as quantum fluctuations warped spacetime itself. His training kicked in as he focused on each step, each movement, letting his body adjust to the changing conditions. Through his comm link, he heard Draxel's crystalline voice, remarkable. His molecular structure is actually stabilizing the local quantum field. Human adaptability extends to quantum levels? Crixel wondered aloud. How is this possible? Marcus gritted his teeth as he pushed through another reality distortion. On Earth, We have something called quantum biology, living things using quantum effects in biological processes. Guess we're just used to it on a cellular level. The reactor core chamber was a maelstrom of quantum energy. Marcus's environmental suit sensors were going haywire, but his body seemed to instinctively understand how to move through the chaos. He reached the control panel, his fingers dancing across the controls as he initiated the stabilization sequence. Core stabilization at 40%, the AI announced. Quantum cascade reducing. As Marcus worked, he noticed something strange. The quantum fluctuations weren't just random chaos, there was a pattern to them, like a storm with its own internal logic. He began adjusting the containment fields to work with the fluctuations rather than against them. Fascinating, Nexus observed through the comm, he's not just resisting the quantum effects, he's harmonizing with them. The storm began to subside as the containment fields synchronized with its natural frequency. Marcus completed the final adjustments, his body humming with residual quantum energy as the reality distortions settled into manageable levels. When he returned to the control room, he found his alien colleagues staring at him with new understanding. Crixel's scales had shifted to a deep blue of revelation. "You didn't just survive the quantum storm," the instructor said quietly. "You showed us how to work with it. This changes our entire approach to crisis management." Marcus shrugged, though he couldn't hide his satisfaction. Humans learned long ago that you can't always overpower nature. Sometimes you have to dance with it instead. The incident marked a turning point in the Academy's understanding of human capabilities. It wasn't just their physical resilience that made them remarkable, it was their ability to adapt, to find new ways of approaching seemingly impossible challenges. As cleanup crews began repairing the damage, Marcus overheard Draxel speaking with other recruits. "Perhaps we've been looking at Deathworlds all wrong. They don't just create survivors, they create innovators." The Academy's scientists would spend months studying the data from the quantum storm incident, but Marcus knew they were missing the most important lesson. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their physical adaptations or even their problem-solving abilities, it was their willingness to face the unknown and find a way forward, no matter what reality threw at them. The quantum storm's aftermath brought unexpected visitors to the Academy. Representatives from the Galactic Defense Council arrived to assess the incident, their arrival marking a shift in the political winds. Among them was High Commander Xyrix, a being composed of pure energy contained within an advanced environmental suit. Marcus found himself summoned to a high-level briefing alongside Nexus, Draxel, and several other top recruits. Instructor Crixel's scales showed a mix of pride and apprehension as they presented the data from recent training sessions and the storm incident. "The quantum storm revealed vulnerabilities in our defense systems," High Commander Xyrix stated, their energy form pulsing with concern. "But it also demonstrated unexpected strengths. Particularly from our human recruit." Marcus stood at attention, aware of the weight of countless alien gazes. The briefing room's holographic displays showed recordings of his journey through the quantum chaos, alongside detailed biometric data. "What interests us," Xyrix continued, "is not just your physical resilience, Recruit Chen, but your species' approach to crisis management. You didn't simply endure the quantum fluctuations, you found a way to harmonize with them." "That's just human instinct, sir," Marcus replied. "When you can't overpower a problem, you learn to work with it." The commander's energy form brightened. "Precisely. And now we face a situation that requires exactly this kind of adaptive thinking." The holographic display shifted to show a massive spatial anomaly forming at the edge of controlled space. The phenomenon defied conventional physics, creating zones of altered reality that threatened several major trade routes and colonies. Similar to the quantum storm, Crixel observed, their scales shifting to a thoughtful blue. But on a much larger scale. "Traditional containment methods have failed," Xyrix confirmed. "We need a new approach. One that combines the strengths of multiple species." Marcus studied the anomaly data, his mind already working on possibilities. The principle should be the same as with the storm. Instead of fighting the anomaly, we need to understand its patterns and work with them. Nexus moved closer to the display, their plasma form analyzing the energy readings. My species can withstand the intense radiation levels. If we could combine that with human adaptability. And my crystalline structure could help stabilize the quantum fields, Draxel added, their form refracting light as they considered the problem. What followed was unlike anything the Academy had seen before, a collaboration that crossed species boundaries and challenged fundamental assumptions about physical limitations. Marcus worked with his alien colleagues to design a containment strategy that utilized each species' unique abilities. The plan was audacious. Nexus would create controlled plasma channels through the anomaly, while Draxel's crystalline resonance would help stabilize the quantum fluctuations. Marcus would lead the team, his human adaptability allowing him to coordinate efforts even as reality itself twisted around them. This is unprecedented, Crixel remarked as they watched the team prepare. Different species working together at this level, in these conditions. That's another human trait, Marcus explained as he checked his equipment. We're at our best when we collaborate, when we combine different perspectives to solve problems. The mission itself was a testament to this philosophy. As they ventured into the anomaly, each team member played to their strengths while covering others' vulnerabilities. Marcus's human instincts helped them navigate the chaos, while his alien colleagues provided capabilities he lacked. Together, they established a network of quantum-stabilizing fields throughout the anomaly. Where conventional methods had failed, their combined approach succeeded in gradually bringing the phenomenon under control. As they completed their mission, High Commander Xyrix made an announcement that would change the Academy forever. This success proves that our traditional species-based training models are outdated. The future of galactic defense lies in collaboration, in combining the unique strengths of different species. The Academy would be reorganized, with new emphasis on cross-species training and cooperation. Marcus's class would serve as the prototype for this new approach, demonstrating how different evolutionary backgrounds could complement each other. Perhaps this is the true lesson of Earth's Death World classification, Crixel reflected later. It didn't just create strong individuals, it created beings who understand the value of adaptation and cooperation. Marcus smiled, watching as human and alien recruits worked together in the training chamber, each learning from the other's unique perspectives and abilities. They weren't just breaking physical limits anymore, they were breaking down the barriers between species, creating something entirely new in the process. The graduation ceremony of the Galactic Defense Academy's first mixed-species class marked a historic moment. The Great Hall hummed with energy as beings from across the galaxy gathered to witness the event. Marcus stood among his fellow graduates, no longer an oddity but a symbol of what was possible when different species worked together. High Commander Xyrix's energy form pulsed with pride as they addressed the assembly. Today represents more than individual achievement. It represents the evolution of our understanding. These graduates have proven that our differences are not limitations, they are opportunities. Marcus reflected on how far they'd come. The training chamber, once designed to test single-species capabilities, had been transformed into a collaborative space where different beings learned to combine their unique abilities. Nexus and Draxel, once skeptical observers, now stood beside him as trusted teammates. The success of this program, Xyrix continued, has led the Council to establish new protocols for all galactic defense operations. Cross-species teams will become standard, with training focused on combining natural abilities in innovative ways. Instructor Crixel, their scales shimmering with emotion, presented each graduate with their commission. When they reached Marcus, they paused. Recruit Chen, no, Defense Officer Chen, you've taught us as much as we've taught you. Your species' adaptability has shown us new possibilities. The ceremony was interrupted by an urgent communication. A spatial anomaly, larger than any previously encountered, had formed near a major population center. Without hesitation, the newly graduated officers moved into action, their response demonstrating everything they'd learned. Marcus coordinated with his alien colleagues, each bringing their unique capabilities to bear. Nexus's plasma form created energy corridors through the distortion, while Draxel's crystalline resonance stabilized quantum fluctuations. Other graduates contributed their species-specific abilities, working in harmony. What might once have been seen as an impossible crisis became a demonstration of their new approach. The anomaly was contained not through brute force or individual heroics, but through the synchronized efforts of multiple species working as one. As they completed their mission, Marcus received a message from Earth. More humans had been accepted into the Academy's next class, and other Deathworld species were being re-evaluated for admission. Their success had opened doors for countless others. Perhaps, Crixel mused during the mission debrief, we should retire the term Deathworld. Every environment, no matter how harsh, produces unique adaptations that contribute to the greater whole. The Academy itself was evolving. New training protocols incorporated lessons learned from human physiology and problem-solving approaches. The fear and skepticism that had once greeted Marcus had been replaced by eager curiosity about what other species might bring to the galactic community. You've started something remarkable, Nexus told Marcus as they watched new recruits arrive. The galaxy was stagnating, trapped in old assumptions about what was possible. Your species helped us break free of those limitations. Marcus smiled, remembering his first day at the Academy. Humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Maybe that's what Earth's challenges gave us, not just physical adaptations, but the drive to find new solutions, to work together, to push beyond what seems possible. The next generation of recruits would face their own challenges, but they would face them together. The barriers between species had been broken down, replaced by an understanding that true strength came not from individual capabilities, but from the combination of different abilities, perspectives, and approaches. As Marcus prepared to take on his first command, he knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had found its place in the galactic community not by dominating or competing, but by demonstrating the power of adaptation, collaboration, and innovation. The future would bring new challenges, but they would face them as they had faced everything else, together, each species contributing its unique strengths to create something greater than the sum of its parts.